incredibly daunting. There's just so much going on. So today, we're going to decode that overwhelming funding environment and really transform it into a clear, actionable strategic playbook. We're stepping away from all the chaos and building a direct, logical path to help you scale your vision.
To do that, here is our roadmap. We'll start by tackling the wall of noise, then define the actual startup tools at your disposal. After that, we'll build your decision-making framework, navigate the unique 2026 landscape, unpack the founder's strategic playbook, and finally, wrap up with your immediate action plan.
So let's kick things off with Section 1, the wall of noise. Before we even think about building a strategy, we need to validate exactly how you're probably feeling right now trying to get your company off the ground. It's just a wall of noise. I mean, when you're constantly hearing about accelerators, incubators, government grants, angel networks, and venture studios, it usually leaves founders feeling completely blasted. It's honestly the default feeling in the startup world today. So if you feel like you're just staring at endless disconnected options without a map, you are definitely not alone. But, we can't just stay stuck in that confusion. Our whole goal in this explainer is to cut straight through that noise and replace it with a focused, highly effective strategy. Success today means knowing exactly how to pick the right resource for the specific stage your company is at, and more importantly, understanding how to actually leverage it for tangible growth. Moving right along to Section 2, defining the startup tools. Okay, before you choose a path, you absolutely must understand what the vehicles actually are. Let's look at the classic difference between an accelerator and an incubator. Think of an accelerator as a fast-paced boot camp. It's usually 3 or 4 months designed purely for speed and scaling an idea that already exists, usually ending in a big pitch day. On the flip side, an incubator is a much slower, more open-ended environment. It's really focused on hatching an idea from scratch. They serve entirely different stages of your startup's lifecycle. The crucial thing here is understanding the distinct trade-offs of each tool. Accelerators give you seed capital and a great network, but they're going to demand around 3 to 8% of your equity. Incubators might just charge you fees without taking a slice of your company. Venture studios, they'll actually embed their own engineers and marketers right into your team, but in exchange, they're taking a much larger equity stake. And then, of course, you have grants. These are the magic words, non-dilutive funding. You get the capital to support your R&D, and you keep 100% of your ownership. Knowing exactly what you're sacrificing for growth is the absolute foundation of your strategy. But hey, never underestimate the human element in all of this. Did you know mentored founders actually achieve 3 times better outcomes? It's wild. Investor networks and accelerators provide what we call smart capital. It's not just a check, it's their expert advice, their massive Rolodex of connections, and their credibility transferring directly to you. Honestly, this is often the most valuable part of the entire exchange. All right, on to Section 3, the decision-making framework. I want you to actively play along with this thought experiment right now. Think about your startup today. What is your single undeniable need? Is it just raw cash to keep the lights on and survive? Is it expert guidance because you're totally stuck on product development? Or is it the network you need to reach those crucial first major customers? You really have to identify that one critical bottleneck, because your answer dictates your path entirely. This is the priority matrix. Every single day, you are weighing capital, network, and mentorship against your willingness to part with your equity. If expert guidance is your absolute top priority, then trading a little equity for a top-tier accelerator makes total sense. But if you fiercely need to protect your equity and simply need cash to fund some heavy research, well, you should be hunting exclusively for non-dilutive government grants. Your number one need dictates the tool. And remember, actually, scratch that. It's crucial to remember. This answer might completely change in 6 months. That brings us to Section 4, navigating the 2026 landscape. 60%. Let that sink in. A staggering 60% of Y Combinator companies this year are expected to be AI-focused. This single statistic is a massive flashing sign showing exactly where the gravity of the market is pulling right now. We are seeing these major, specialized accelerators popping up exclusively to fund and support AI companies. So what does this mean for you? Well, because the generalist programs are leaning so heavily into AI, you must be incredibly targeted. If you're an AI founder, you're looking at places like Excel and Google Atoms. But if you aren't building the next big AI model, you need vertical-specific programs. If you're in health, look at Halcyon. If you're specifically in mental health, look at SeedSpot. You have to find those niche programs that are explicitly searching for your exact type of solution. Okay, let's level up with Section 5, the Founder's Strategic Playbook.
This is where it gets really fun. It's fascinating how we can elevate those foundational choices into pro-level advanced tactics. You can dramatically extend your runway using what we call the stacking strategy. Basically, you don't just pick one route. You pair an equity-based accelerator, which gets you the network and that vital seed money, with massive, non-dilutive resources. For example, imagine securing $150,000 in Azure and OpenAI credits from Microsoft, and then stacking that with $200,000 in cloud credits from Google. You're literally stacking these resources to artificially inflate your runway without giving up a single extra percentage of your company. It's brilliant. And that brings us to an incredible pro move, all about timing. If you time your VC pitch right after announcing a major grant win, let's say something like the Braze Tech for an Equitable Future grant, you are leveraging that external stamp of approval. Think about it. A major grant tells venture capitalists that a serious, rigorous organization has already vetted your idea and put money behind it. You walk into that pitch room with massive leverage to negotiate a vastly superior valuation. Now, we've got to talk about the traps where this playbook can go completely wrong. Fatal flaw number 1. Chasing the brand name. Please beware of chasing a shiny logo just to slap it on your startup's website. You have to verify if the program actually offers structural support for your specific industry. We see founders get in, give up a chunk of equity, and then just suffer through incredibly generic mentorship and terrible post-program support. Don't let vanity drive your strategy.
And then there is fatal flaw number 2, the grant timeline trap. Look, government and foundational money moves at a snail's pace. It just does. Don't let slow grant payouts kill your startup because the cash finally arrives 3 months after you've emptied your bank account. The solution here is to build a blended capital stack. Mix in venture debt or revenue-based financing to bridge that cash gap and keep the lights on while you wait. Simply hoping the check arrives in time is not a funding strategy. A blended capital stack is.
Finally, let's bring it all home with Section 6, your immediate action plan. Let's wrap up this explainer by giving you some hyper-specific marching orders. I really want you to follow these 3 precise steps to stop endlessly reading blog posts and start taking strategic control of your future. Step 1, open a doc and be brutally honest with yourself. Write down your number 1 undeniable need for the next quarter. Step 2, based entirely on that need, create a custom shortlist of just 3 to 5 laser-focused programs. And step 3, reach out to an alumnus. And I'm telling you, step 3 is literally the ultimate cheat code. Reach out directly to program alumni to hear about their actual experience. Send a quick DM, ask for just 15 minutes of their time. This is exactly how you bypass the polished marketing copy and get the absolute unvarnished truth. Ask them bluntly, did the program actually help you raise your next round? Was the mentorship real or was it just fluff? So I want to leave you with this final critical thought. Which specific tool are you going to leverage today to cut through the noise and scale your vision? Armed with this matrix and this playbook, what is the single most important move you will make right now to transform your startup's trajectory? Don't let the ecosystem overwhelm you. Choose your tool, make your move, and go build something amazing.
Hello. How's everybody doing tonight? We're glad to be here. Glad to have you for another Thursday, and we're uh, closing in on our 6-year anniversary, which starts, which is actually next Thursday. We started Startup Founder Best Practices actually 6 years ago on August 13th. So we're looking forward to a good celebration next week for our anniversary event. Got a lot to talk to you about tonight, and just really always a pleasure to be here to kind of help founders on their journey of building a startup. And we focused a lot on AI and how to use AI. And so that's kind of what our specialty is, just leveraging that technology to help you grow your startup. And we leverage a lot of tools doing that, but we'll get into that a little more deeply later. But first, I'll kind of let you know what's going on, and give a little, we'll pay a little tribute to our partners and sponsors, and trying to kind of lay the groundwork for that. Yeah, so it's been a busy day today. So a lot of stuff related to founders and startups. That's always really exciting to be deeply involved in the startup world. So I had a lunch event with one of the entrepreneur programs here in Pensacola today. Had a, a meeting, online meeting with Black Innovation Alliance. Today, we have quarterly meetings, and it's great to see founders all over, folks that are running programs for founders to see how they're progressing. I missed our networking event tonight because I was at a Startup Source Pensacola, a startup social event, and so we were talking about robotics and AI. I had a great speaker there. A lot of folks came out to that as well. And so I'm wrapping up today with you all, and I wanted to cover this topic about building with evidence and not assumptions. And over the years, including myself, we're always excited about what our idea, our startup idea. But what really matters is you have to. It can't be just based on a hunch. You have to have evidence, not what you assume to kind of move forward. And so we're going to review the stages that all the founder stages that you go through, some of the assumptions that founders make, and that's all you when you're doing your business model. You're doing it based on assumptions. So you got to get evidence to prove or disprove those assumptions. And so we're even going to have share a scorecard with you, so you can leverage that to actually move forward. So that's what's going on tonight. And so just review my background. Spent my career developing technology at the Air Force Research Laboratory. Uh, just a lot of technologies, from micro robots to 30-ton weapons, and you name it. I had some stuff in it, and so it's like a pretty neat career. But yeah, it was exciting, but everything is all about how you think, and what you think, and your approach to solving problems. And so that's how you be successful, and that's how you be successful with it. AI is using it to help you think and figure out things, as opposed to using it like a vending machine. But I retired about 14 years ago, and been doing my own startup stuff ever since, and been the last 6 years been working with founders. And through the 6 years working with founders, we leveraged the lean stack approach to stress testing startup ideas, and the whole methodology for building a startup. And so I level 3 certified coach in that. So um, been talking about it so much and working with founders on it so much, hundreds and hundreds of founders. So I'm happy to share my experience. And a lot of times, like, so next week we'll be reflecting back over the 6 years, and how things evolved, how our thinking changed. You'll get some of that tonight, but you'll get more of it next week. But one thing that's been important in our journey is working with other organizations and partnering with other organizations, and supporting some of the things they do, and actually and them supporting us and what we do. It's always a two-way street. And so these are some of the folks we've worked with in the past. and still working with most of them. So our program is branded the Founders Insight Programs. This particular deal here, we're doing Thursday night is part of our what we initially call our startup program, Startup on the Blocks, because we're here in historic Belmont, the Villiers, and it's a cultural and entrepreneurship community here. And so we sort of branded after that. But then part of that program is our weekly events that we do on Thursday nights. But we do a lot of things. But these are some of the companies that have supported us in the past, and still most of them still support us today. So I said we do a lot of things, and our backbone is the lean stack framework, but that's only because it's the methodology and the process you go through for building a startup or growing a business. And the startup science, we love that, and we give people access to that at no charge. But that's like a startup ecosystem in a box. Everything you need to know about it, but it's more focused on the phases that your startup go through, and doing the right things for the phase you're in. And then Lean Stack is more of a what's the next milestone you need to reach. And so what some folks may not understand is, in the startup world, which has a whole ecosystem for supporting startups, it's based on you knowing what stage of your journey you're in, both from a milestone standpoint and also from a phase standpoint. So that's what's doing. So we encapsulate all of that in our Founders Insight program, and we'll be releasing more of our tools next week as part of our anniversary celebration. Yeah, and the purpose for us being here every Thursday night, and just like the networking event that we have every Thursday night on Zoom, is where founders can share, connect, and share, what they're doing, and learn from each other, and learn about resources. I also use that time for if you have any questions about anything related to startups, AI, or technology in general. That's what we use that session for, because like when you're like, for example, I think the fourth or the might have been the fourth a day or so ago was the deadline for the Black Ambition program. I don't know if they're extended or not, but when you fill out those applications, you have to communicate your business model and what you're doing. And so I was talking to one of our founders that he's in that for a second year, and it's for Florida founders, but it's like they're literally trying to help 500 underrepresented founders in Florida. So that's a free resource, and all you have to do is learn how to communicate what you're trying to do to get in a program like that. But what I'm going to switch to right now is I'm going to get into this background about this evidence, building with evidence as opposed to assumption. So just imagine, been working, did close to between like 20 and 24 cohorts of founders over the last 6 years. Had, I don't know how many pitch competitions. We lost track of those, the demo days, the workshops, and all those cohorts that we did. The smallest amount of workshops in any one of them was like four workshops in a 30-day cohort, but we always did extra. And then the 90-day, that was like only 7, but we always did extra to help people, and we always I've always been making myself available for office hours on Saturdays. So so what I'm showing you tonight is is um, is actually a combination of all that stuff. And so what you can remember when you the stuff I'm sharing is not stuff that just being thought of. It's based on accumulated knowledge over a long time period. I'm actually even leveraging stuff from way back when we were working when I worked for the government and doing AI in the late '90s and throughout the rest of my career. So what I'm telling you is based on the evolution of learning over the years, and one way that I use AI is to actually reflect on my journey and the work that we do here at the Kakua Institute. And so I use reflection prompts and stuff like that to kind of, so the knowledge is actually not lost, it's accumulated. Alrighty, so I'm going to start off this evidence-based approach with uh, the video about that's kind of encapsulate. It's not telling you all the secrets, but I do have a Google Drive folder that I will share with you, and I'll even put the video in there just so you make it available to you. But it's got all the stuff in it. I'll be sharing with you tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that, and then do some social media sharing here, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Most early-stage venture programs out there today are built on a mechanical error. They mistake motion for progress. The core failure of the traditional entrepreneurship curriculum is that it unintentionally rewards the volume of visible founder activities. Founders receive praise for attending workshops, filling out generic business canvases, and compiling AI-generated research. These actions look like work, but they do not prove viability. True venture progression operates on a different metric. A venture advances only when a founder produces verifiable evidence that reduces uncertainty. To build an effective venture, we have to decouple the act of doing founder work from the process of proving the venture actually works. The Lenicia framework solves this by dividing the system into 2 distinct nodes. The first is the Quick Start Guide. This establishes the founder's behavioral operating method. The second node is the Stage Gate Scorecard. This acts as the venture's decision governance instrument. These nodes serve entirely different functions. The behavioral guide is a continuous engine that generates evidence. The scorecard is a rigid gatekeeper that evaluates whether that evidence is actually credible. By structurally separating the work from the evaluation, the system prevents a common flaw. The founder's daily to-do list cannot become a subjective, self-reported approval checklist. This 2-node architecture forms the basis of a founder intelligence operating system. But to make it auditable at scale, we must transition this analog architecture into a traceable, database-backed digital data model. This diagram shows the Lenicia founder cycle. Before market interaction, founders must state assumptions and define exact evidence to test them. The loop is a strict filter, drawing a hard line between what customers say and how they actually behave. In this system, compliments, unqualified waitlists, and hypothetical interest are categorized as weak signals. They must be rejected as proof of demand. Acceptable, strong evidence requires friction. The system demands physical deposits, paid pilots, signed contracts, or verifiable changes to a customer's daily workflow. Artificial intelligence is given a tightly bounded role within this loop. It models financial scenarios and drafts code, but it cannot replace real customer buying behavior or regulatory review. The behavioral guide is built to be an evidence generation engine that actively resists false validation at every step. Once the evidence is generated, it hits the venture control system, which is divided into 8 formal review gates. At every single gate, the reviewer asks, did the evidence earn the right to advance?
At Gate 4, a clear offer is not enough. Advancement requires explicit proof of behavioral adoption and financial commitment. By Gate 6, organizational readiness, the system shifts to address operational bottlenecks. It treats founder dependency as a severe, trackable risk. Under Gate 6 criteria, a venture cannot pass if every operational action still requires the founder's direct intervention. This strict criteria normalizes a critical outcome, deciding to pause, pivot, or completely stop a venture. The scorecard's true purpose is to protect capital and founder time by preventing unsupported ventures from advancing. Conceptually, this structure is elegant. Operationally, it is broken. The entire system currently relies on analog, PDF-based media. Watch this calculated passing score of 75%. It creates a dangerous illusion of mathematical accuracy. Because criteria are unweighted, minor achievements carry the same mathematical value as major requirements. A strong score for a clear offer offsets a 0 for lacking cybersecurity controls. This mathematical averaging allows a handful of moderate strengths to completely conceal one fatal existential weakness. Then we hit the 0 score distortion. The analog scorecard mandates scoring exactly 10 criteria per gate. Without a not applicable option, human reviewers are forced to input speculative or unfair zeros for criteria that may be irrelevant, instantly corrupting the final percentage. This introduces subjective bias. Different human reviewers will look at the exact same analog evidence and assign wildly different scores. But the single most critical architectural gap in this analog system is the complete absence of evidence provenance. On a static PDF, a score of 4 is structurally orphaned. It is entirely disconnected from the original customer interview or the specific data point that earned it. Without direct traceability connecting a score to its source material, the entire governance system becomes unauditable at scale.
An analog governance system is inherently dangerous. It allows human subjectivity, missing context, and bad math to override objective risk. The immediate solution is structural. The framework must halt analog distribution and deploy a digital founder evidence and decision record. This digital record serves as the necessary database-backed bridge between the quick start behavior and the stage gate control system. It creates absolute evidence traceability. Every generated signal is assigned a standard record format, logging its source, date, customer segment, and level of independence. This schema eliminates subjective scoring. The scorecard no longer acts as a primary repository. It simply points directly to the machine-readable evidence. A reviewer calibration guide is built into the digital interface, anchoring every score to strict empirical definitions to ensure consistency. The interface also resolves the 0 score distortion by dynamically adjusting the scoring denominator when a requirement is marked not applicable. Establishing this relational schema transforms the framework from a theoretical exercise into an auditable data model. To finalize the architecture, we must hard code empirical must-pass boundaries directly into the digital system. Regardless of the overall percentage, the system must mathematically freeze if vital evidence, like behavioral commitment at Gate 4, is missing. This sets up the ultimate safety mechanism, the critical failure override, designed to catch severe legal, AI, or security risks. Early governance checks regarding customer harm, data privacy, and intellectual property exposure trigger this override immediately. This override acts as a non-negotiable dead stop, entirely independent of how highly rated the rest of the venture is. A true founder intelligence operating system is achieved only when verifiable evidence replaces assumption, and strict data provenance ensures that organizations scale based on verified reality.
All righty. I hope that was helpful to you. And I have a PDF I'll go through to kind of explain it and in a little more detail. But it's all this startup stuff. It's challenging, and so that's what all these ecosystem organizations are all about. These startup ecosystems organizations, they're here to help you get through a lot of this stuff. but they all have different approaches, and some work and some don't. But I will tell you this: one of the things I've learned is with all these resources out here to help founders, it's still tough, for them to get to that product market fit milestone, where they know all their unit economics and are really making money. But so the system is broken somewhat, but it's still better better than nothing. It gives you an opportunity to learn, to connect with other founders, organization mentors, and stuff like that. But so, at the Cocoa Institute, we've been studying the ecosystem. We've been studying, founders, and we've been trying to accumulate knowledge to kind of help, um, you know, using AI to kind of reflect that back, and just finding all the patterns on the way things work. And basically, what I've found is with these large language models is, yeah, they know about a lot of stuff, and they will, if you ask it something, it'll give you an answer, um, but you can't really trust the answer. But it is, a good starting point. And so, like over the years, you have to kind of learn how uh, to use the AI to critique the AI, and kind of help you um, get to the point where you can trust the information, that is being generated. And so I think we've came pretty close to that. We're not totally there yet. And so, like, uh, my approach is, um, I, I I like to use AI to analyze, uh, conversations. I like to use AI to analyze, meeting transcripts, um, and uh, and what ultimately happens in the way that I use it. It goes out and search to see if is what's being said, is it really true or really accurate. And so, just to make sure you're not getting misinformation. And so it's a rigorous process that you go through, but you literally leverage the AI to do it for you. And so it's just this idea, not just, using the AI like a vending machine, and getting the answers back, but like for me, if I'm interested in a certain area, I'll have prompts that the AI created that goes out and research that industry or field to kind of see what's proven and what's not proven. And so when you get the information, it kind of labels it, verified, um, you know, based on, or like I did a research thing earlier this week, and I did use like five different large language models, and they all came back slightly different. One vendor, they found stuff about the topic, but it was all vendor information. It wasn't proven research information, and it's just. But so the way I find out that is I have another prompt that I use to analyze each of the reports that AI generated. So I used the AI to go out and do research like a researcher would do it, a PhD researcher would do it, or a librarian would do it. And then then once the information comes back, I still use AI to actually analyze it to see what's true and what's not true in that information. So it's like doing several layers, making sure the information that you're getting is actually solid. And so when you're building a startup, you can't just take what the AI tells you as fact. You still have to analyze it. And so that's one way I use AI. But I also, you hear me talking about Notebook LM now, Gemini Notebook, and the reason I use that to kind of let it bring the information to life and reflect it back to me like a mirror. So using AI as a mirror in that case, and I'm always interested in improving how I think about things. Am I thinking about it the right way? So I, I, that's my number one way to use AI. So uh, and I analyzed my whole life and upbringing, based on just the stories about my childhood, the you know the stories throughout high school, college, my career, and and it. So the the AI has went back and looked at all that and actually sees the actual patterns. It pulled out the patterns, and so one of the things I discovered, and I've told the story 1,000 times. Like growing up, even before elementary school, my mother did days work. She had several folks' homes that she went around and cleaned up the houses, and so when those families kids got tired of playing with the toys or they broke them, my mother would bring these discarded toys home for my younger brother and we would fix them. So in essence, what I learned even before elementary school was how to reverse engineer toys, which is the story of my life now. I reverse engineer people. I reverse engineer anything I come across to kind of help it, see I can get it back the way it should be. And so that's a pattern. So that's another way, that I use AI is to reverse engineer the business model on a website, the to understand a paper. And I guess I need to plug up my computer here and make sure we don't run out of power here. And I'm down to 6%. So let me get that plugged up. Been that kind of a day. Been really, really busy all day. Yep, that's my day today. Apologize for that. Yep. So let's make sure we're good to go here. That we got some power. Yep, we got some power. Uh, Good thing. But getting back to the so um, that's one of the ways that several of the ways that I use AI. And as an engineer, having a career as an engineer, you have to double check and triple check everything. And there's no free lunch, and so you don't take anything for granted. And one of the principles that I learned in my career was, like if I'm uh, like let's say we're doing a robot or a weapon concept, everything we used on to create that, we had to justify why we chose each component. You don't just go pick a component. And at the networking thing today, this afternoon, the lady was saying, she uses Claude and Chat GPT, and she's trying to figure out which one the best to use. So my workflow is, if I'm doing critical research or something that's important, I will run the same prompt in 5 or 6 different large language models. And the reason I do that, because I know different people built those large language models, and different people have different approach. They have different personalities. They have different ethics, and so that's so. What's neat about that is once I get all those reports back, I analyze each one of them, and then I dump them all into uh, Notebook LM, Gemini notebook, and I have prompts that I run in Gemini notebook to kind of see what are the contradictions in the reports, which one did the best analysis and characterize the analysis of each one of them. So, but then what's neat about that, I I get to take the best of all of them to come up with the finished results of what I'm actually trying to do. And so that's kind of my parts that I could go on and on about the way we work. And so got an intern he's got one more week with me, and he's starting uh, he starting as a junior transfer student at FAMU this fall. And so, he told me he was going into the School of Business and Industry, and he's going to be doing uh, the the facilities management thing. Turns out it's actually a full degree thing on its own. But anyway, so he was all I needed. I said, well, let's explore this. And so we used um, uh, we had this idea about building an application to help students become aware of what to expect as they go into whatever degree program they're going to. And so and he had went out and did a few interviews with some other students that was going to college. And so we're trying to figure out the best approach, but still everybody that he interviewed was basically unsure about everything. Even though they may have been starting college in 2 weeks, they were still unsure about so many things. And so we had, through that discussion, I used AI to analyze that discussion, and it came up with 5 different research prompts that could be used, to, you know, bring clarity to a student. And so we did him as a use case, ran that in 5 different large language models, and actually uh, and he was reading those today, and using Notebook LM to understand them, and it just really blew him away, opened up his eyes. So he's going to be in a position when he gets to the school, it's like he had a big brother, big sister that went in the same program, and he knows all about it. And so that's the way that we use AI here, but it's all based on you know, uh, engineering principles, research principles, and not taking things for granted. And so we so you yeah, it's these large language models gives you good information, good results, and they help you. But the good thing about all of it is we as humans, we hallucinate about things and make things up, whether we want to admit it or not. And so the AI is the neural networks are mimicking the brain. So people get mad when the AI makes things up and starts to kind of hallucinates. But that's what it's going to do, because it knows the patterns of things, so it knows what comes next, because everything is pattern oriented. All righty, so I'm going to get off my soapbox here and share this stuff about using evidence-based stuff. And so I don't know if you notice this thing about analyzing information. And so you have to have a tool or a prompt that knows how to analyze information, find the patterns in it, find the hidden patterns in it, find the weak signals of what's coming in the future. Um, yeah, so it's that's the kind of tools that um, that you have to develop and to yeah learn how to use. Thanks for the shout out, Joseph. We appreciate it. Um, yeah, so yeah, still hanging in here. Labor of love, and the this is what I'm sharing with you tonight is all this stuff about evidence, not just something that AI hallucinated, not just something you came up with. And so yeah, so using AI as a mirror, you have to uh, not take your thinking for granted, because everybody has blind spots. So we have to use the AI to get past our blind spots as well. So in our journey uh, with the startup found the best practices and the startup on the blocks program, we started off all analog and evolved to AI. But you as a founder, you start off analog, but you want to get to the point where you can create a system that's in essence, a founder intelligence operating system. So we've actually literally created that, and so just based on just with the tools and stuff, and leveraging the large language models, and to do that. Let's see if we can get going here. Yeah, so startups theater is, people out there like myself included out there attending stuff and doing things, and a lot of activities, really busy. But where's the evidence, that shows you're actually making progress? That's what we're talking about here. And so you have to come up with this evidence-based process, to make sure you're on the right track. Yeah. So once you got the evidence, you can actually move to the next stage. And so, like I said, startup a lean stack is kind of a milestone based thing. So once you finish one milestone, then you go to the next. And so, and when you're building a business or a startup, you go through these phases, but you may not pay attention to these milestones, and you don't pay attention to them. So we're going to lead you. I'm going to put it in the chat here in a second. A quick start guide. So it's a founder behavioral system here to kind of keep you going. And like the video talked about, this this separation between this what you're supposed to actually do and how you score what you do. You have to keep those two things separate. And so I'll provide you with both of these documents to kind of get you going. So here is the cycle. Define and the decisions and assumptions. Decisions and assumptions. Let me put my glasses on so I can see here. Yeah. All right. And the so you have to, that's the first step, and then you have to discover the collect customer and market evidence. So this is really interesting. So in our work with founders, the way you actually learn the most is not talking to potential customers about your solution. You talk to them, you try to discover their problems and understand what they're doing. So that's what that discover. And then you have to evaluate the strength of the evidence and challenge it. You can't just take it for granted. So you go through this evidence cycle. You frame everything, discover, verify, challenge, and then you come up with a test, design a test that can see if that really worked. Then you test it. Then you decide. And document it and learn from it. So you'll get this in the document tonight as well. I'll upload this briefing as well. The founder's not only testing the business, the founder is learning to think and operate differently. And so, how do you think about information? How do you how do you think to help your startup grow? Alrighty. the so just so this is a key thing. People do a lot of activities thinking it's evidence. Also, I'll go over each one of these. So collecting surveys. People think that's evidence. Compliments from friends. Yeah, people tell you this is a good idea all the time. You get wait lists for your product, but they're unqualified. AI, like you can use AI to kind of emulate a person or a customer persona and think that's going to work. And so AI definitely can go out and estimate the market and tell you it's big, but you literally, have to go out and validate all that stuff. And then on the flip side, you have the, if you got a signed contract, that's evidence. If somebody's paying you to do a pilot or giving you a deposit on something, that's evident. If they've doing renewals or repeat use, that's evident. Willingness to change the process they're using. And so if they're giving you referrals, that's the kind of stuff that's evidence. So you have to go through these checkpoints. And so these are related to the startup founder phases that you go through. And so this first one, founder model fit. So that you literally designing the business model and you learning how to pitch it. And if people are responding to that, that's when you have the founder model fit. And then this customer problem fit, that's where you out there doing demand validation, and you're interviewing people who have recently purchased something similar to what you're building, and in order to, and what you're doing is when you do that, you're validating the problem, but you are also learning the psychology of how you're going to sell to them and market to them later. And I think people don't realize how important that stuff. Problem solution fit is you take all these stuff you learn from the customer problem fit, like in that, and the lean stack, you learn the customer forces stories, jobs to be done stories, hiring and firing criteria. So why should somebody fire another product and hire your product? So you that's the once you get that understanding, then you can design a solution, and from that, and then you can go out and try to do your sales pitch, and then if people buy, that's your that's what this stage here is. But then it has to become repeatable, because if the repeatable sales are not there, the repeatable process is not there, you're really, you can't predict your growth. You can't predict your scalability if you don't have a repeatable process. That's what's going on here. And then these organizational readiness. Well, you probably at that stage, all your unit economics, and this is when you're ready to pour fuel, raise capital, to kind of move forward. Some of us, we want money back here at the idea stages, and stuff is not proven. Okay, so this is the promise and the paradox. And so, yeah, if you can get AI working the way you want it, that's and it is possible. but you have to do it in an analog way first, to before you can move forward with this the promise of the AI. And I would say the majority of successful startups, because that's in general, before you can use AI, you have to already have a manual process in place. And that's just the nature of AI. You're trying to improve an established process. And what you got to remember here, if you're using AI and you're not sure about what you're using AI for, and it's not based on a proven process or a proven approach, then you can't be confident in what you get back, because if you're not providing clear information in, you're not going to get clear information um, back. And so, and then when you're using the scorecard, you got to know how to use that correctly too. And the video talked about that as well. But yeah, so every there's so many things got yous um, in this particular thing, and so you just have to realize. So just use these tools that I'm going to share with you to kind of help you move um, forward. Yeah, all of this is going to this thing where you want to be able to automate it, but you have to do all this stuff manually first. Yes, yeah. Humans are always in the loop. That's what you gotta remember here, to keep the human in the loop. Okay. All right. So you start off analog, make sure that works that way, and then eventually you can get to the digital end of it. So step one, pay, get the proof based on some paid, and then keep going, customer interviews, and you're documenting all this. That's what you're doing here. You have to document everything. Every generated signal requires a unique evidence ID. So um, that's where we get digitizing this whole manual process and moving forward. So everything is gated, so you don't get to go to the next step until you you must pass those gates. Yeah. Okay. The digital pivot. When you finish learning how to do it um, manually, and you start building that digital bridge and keep going forward. Alrighty, so I hope that will be helpful to you. So let me find a link here, and I'll post it in the chat. Okay, let's get it for you. Got it up on my screen here. So I'll let's get it here. Okay, I'll share my screen again just so you kind of see what's in there. And I'll add the video to this as well. So go ahead and put the link in here. You're going to get this founder assessment. I didn't talk about that, but this is a little thing you can answer questions to do a self-assessment, and then so let me see here. Yeah, so so you got the scorecard in here, and you got the startup guide, and oh, here's the video. I do have the video in there. I apologize. I didn't realize I had uploaded. So let me get this in the chat for you. So you should be able to use this to kind of understand the these stages that you have to go through as a founder, and the video also will explain it to you. And I'll also have another document I can put in there as well, and I'll do that right now. So don't forget here. Create another document here. This particular um, document I'm getting ready to put in here. Um, it'll explain all the stuff on each slide for you. Okay, give it a name. Yeah, but I'll make sure it's actually named for you. But that's the explanation of each slide. So if there's any questions about AI and how we use AI here, I'll be glad to answer those for you. Yes. So this, like I said, this is the link to the resources in that folder. I'll be glad to share any information, more detailed information about how we use AI. And if you want to get access to some of our tools, I'll put that in the chat here as well. It's just apply.kakuainstitute.org. And you can get access to prompts and stuff like that to kind of help you move forward. Also give you access to the Startup Science platform, and that will literally blow you away. it's like a startup ecosystem in a box. It's got so many resources in there, and also it keeps track of all the grants and stuff. Yeah, you build your startup profile. You just on and on. It's a valuable resource for you to use. So, like I said, apply Dr. Cool Institute. It gets you access to the tools in our program, and we're going to be releasing some stuff next week for founders. So just to kind of help everybody move forward. So feel free to ask questions if you just about startups, AI in general. That's what I'm here for. Yeah. Be glad to help out in any way that we can. Yep. So the good news is painstakingly over the last few years put all this time in working with founders, and so you get the benefit from all of that, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I've made it my labor of love to try to figure as much of this stuff out as possible for you, and so that's what it is for. So make sure you join us next week. I'll try to get my son on, because he was the one that kind of forced me to stop complaining and start doing and so and work with what you got. Don't wait for something that may or may not come. Work with what you got and move forward. So it's like really fantastic. Any one more time, call in for questions here. Yep. There's a lot of, I can't even off the top of my head tell you all the stuff we've researched and found, and the tools we built. There's literally no shortage of tools. Um, what I may do here is before I'll just may end with the video just created based on what we did with the students this summer. And but the neat thing is it also applies to startup founders. I'll open up my notebook here and pull that up, and I'll close out with that, so you all can uh, uh, kind of. It also goes into how we use AI, and that's the one reason I want to show it. But let's see who's trying to scroll down here. Yes, thank you for chiming in, Denise. This I'll go ahead and pull this thing up and share my screen. Now, if I can get this is Gemini Notebook, and I was reflecting on the stuff I did with the students this summer. I guess in this case, I need to stop sharing and reshare because of I didn't share the sound. So just reshare again so we can get the sound. So the bottom line is, it's just a lot to learn about how to take advantage of the AI and how to use it in a way that it actually helps you move forward. I'm moving faster. Let me try this one more time to make sure I did it correctly. Talking, I can't talk and chew gum so walking to chew gum at the same time. Yeah, let's make sure here. My brain works a little different than most people's brain works. But the lesson I always tell people, I was talking in the networking this afternoon.
Welcome to the Explainer.
I was talking in the networking this afternoon, and so like I think you can get comfortable with AI with just understanding that that this idea about when you look using a computer, everything you do on a computer is kind of analogous to some physical written way we used to do it. We used to have file cabinets, and we had folders, and we had documents. Now on the computer, you got all that stuff. Windows, you got can have multiple windows open at one time. Google, you can have windows and multiple tabs open at one time. All these things are analogous. When you're in the 50s, 60s, and maybe even in the 70s, they were copying and cutting and pasting stuff. Even as a college student, working in what was called the AFADO, Air Force Armament Laboratory. And when I was in college in the 70s, we actually copied, cut, and paste things. We literally physically, cut stuff out related to weapons, and so it's everything is analogous. And so that's why when you start thinking about AI, the AI uses neural networks, and we have neural networks in our brain. So once you understand that on a computer, you're trying to do something that you're trying to do work like the brain works. And so if you kind of just understand that, when you decide what you want to do, your brain figures out a way to do it. AI agents, that's what AI agents, you give it a goal and it goes what to do. And so in prompting and using these large language models, once the large language model understands your goal, it literally will build it for you. That's the simplicity of it. And people always ask me, how do you prompt? How do you do this? How do you do that? just explain to the AI what you want to do, and ask it to help you figure out how to do it. So simple thing, like I was watching a 20-minute video, YouTube video, day before yesterday, and it was about using Claude uh, Claude co-work to uh, a Claude whatever Claude the work thing in there, and the guy was saying these are 3 agents you can build. So he spent 20 minutes showing you how to build these agents. So I went to Claude co-work, and I basically uh, asked us, said, please extract the transcript from this YouTube video URL, and then it went ahead and did that for me. And then I said, based on the transcript from this YouTube video, please build the 3 agents that is discussed in this video, and it did it. So I didn't have to. I just yeah. So that's the simplicity of AI, is once it understands what you're trying to accomplish. So for me, like and sometimes you don't see the relationships and things, and you don't really see the same pattern. So this thing I've been thinking about in the back of my mind, for years, about um, uh, helping people understand how to get the benefit of AI. And to me, the benefit is you have some expert knowledge based on your career and the jobs you've done. So my thing is, if always has been, if you can um, get the AI trained on your tacit knowledge, all this stuff, then you can turn that into software and start making money from it. And so, but I didn't know there was a connection between that and I this a month or two ago they discontinued this thing called Hux AI, and I loved that too, because when I got up in the morning, it would tell me all the summarize my emails, my uh, it would give me reports on all the things that I'm interested in, and also the local news and weather, and so that's how I kept up on everything. And so I just had the AI start thinking about reverse engineering that, but the AI found a relationship between that and this thing that I had in the back of my mind all the time. But the AI didn't know that I had that in the back of my mind, and I didn't see the pattern between the two things. And so the AI saw the pattern between the two things, and guess what? It started building it for me immediately. That's how AI works. So once it knows what you're trying to accomplish, it'll use all the things you've been analyzing and in the past, or been prompting about, and find all the patterns and help you move forward. So let me shut up, because I'll talk forever about this stuff. So this is what we're doing with the students this summer, and I'll summarize it for you. So basically, and this applies to anybody. So when, as a student or as a founder, you're going to be given some task or something to do that you never did before, and something that you don't understand. So the first thing you should do is use AI to help you understand whatever that task or assignment is. Let it reflect the assignment back to you. Then if it's an assignment which you have to give answers, well, this is a good example, a use case right here. So if you apply to get in a pitch competition, or you apply to get in some startup program, help use AI to help you understand the questions and how to answer.
Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating.
Use AI to help you understand the questions before you submit the application. But once you think you understand the questions, answer the question. But before you hit submit, use AI to help you figure out whether you answer the question thoroughly or not. That it's literally that simple. But yeah, let me play this video because, like I said, I could talk forever.
Analysis drawn from the ISI SUIP 2026 program. It's a forward-thinking educational initiative that's completely redefining how we learn and work. We're going to dive into what it actually means to harness artificial intelligence in a way that goes way, way beyond basic prompt engineering. We're talking about a fundamental transformation in how we work, learn, and literally preserve human knowledge. So if you've ever felt like your interactions with AI are just kind of scratching the surface, stick around because this breakdown is going to completely change how you view your digital tool. Consider this bold philosophy for a second. AI is a mirror, not a vending machine. This right here is the core engine driving the entire SII curriculum. I mean, we really need to stop walking up to artificial intelligence, mashing a button, and just expecting a perfectly packaged answer to drop down into the tray like a bag of chips. Instead, we have to start treating it like a mirror. It's a thinking partner. It's something that reflects our own reasoning, challenges our hidden assumptions, and helps us rapidly iterate on our ideas. Which leads to a massive underlying question we really need to ask ourselves. Are we teaching AI all wrong? Seriously, think about every tutorial you've watched lately. There's this absolute educational obsession with just teaching people how to use software tools. But as you'll see in this explainer, that is a fundamental misstep. If we only teach people the mechanics of the tools, we completely miss the critical opportunity to actually develop human judgment. Let's dive into Section 1, more than prompt engineering. This shift fundamentally changes how we build. The old, incredibly risky way of doing things is basically you have an idea, you build it, and you just sort of hope someone wants it. But the AI native entrepreneurial mindset, it demands a much more rigorous process. You have to start with a deeply understood problem, gather hard evidence, validate that evidence, and only then do you create a solution. It really highlights the absolute necessity to pause, think, and find proof before you ever write a line of code or draft a proposal. Because at the end of the day, good AI starts with good evidence. The students going through this program didn't just log into an interface and start blindly typing out prompts. No way. They became investigators first. They dove into real-world historical research, they analyzed workforce data, picked apart complex legal documentation, and conducted actual customer interviews. They learned very quickly that an AI's output is strictly limited by the quality of the hard facts you feed into it. If your inputs are weak, absolutely no amount of prompt engineering is going to save the output. Moving into Section 2, the AI native mindset. Separating fact from opinion is at the very heart of this mindset. Through a cognitive framework known as the Lynch recursive intelligence system, students were constantly forced to evaluate their inputs. They had to learn traceability, like exactly where did this specific piece of information come from? They had to verify source quality, assign confidence levels to their data, hunt for contradictions, and perhaps most importantly, uncover their own hidden assumptions. They trained to become highly disciplined, evidence-based thinkers, not just passive consumers of AI-generated text. All right, Section 3, building systems, not assignments. Think about the traditional educational or even corporate mindset for a second. You finish today's task, it gets graded or reviewed by a manager, and then it's shoved in a desktop folder forever, right? Well, the AI native approach is entirely different. You build continuing systems. Instead of just doing the one-off work, you turn your daily efforts into permanent assets. You're building automated workflows, research pipelines, and reusable prompts that literally continue working long after today is over. And this creates a complete career evolution. You start at the baseline as a user, where your focus is just asking AI simple questions. But as you progress, you level up. You become a researcher who actively validates that information. Then a builder, creating tangible AI-assisted solutions. Next, you become a designer, crafting entirely new workflows and systems. And finally, you reach the apex as an AI architect, someone fully capable of building sophisticated, completely native AI processes from the ground up. It's a brilliant progressive journey mapped out for the modern professional. All of that ladders up into a 10-step operating model. Let's run through these quickly because they are incredibly powerful. Ready? It goes like this. Observe carefully. Ask better questions. Gather evidence. Verify it. Think critically. Document for reuse. Build systems. Use AI responsibly. Create real value. And finally, keep improving. That isn't just a random list. It is the absolute gold standard for modern knowledge work. Seriously, keep that sequence in your back pocket. Now for Section 4, the 3-layer architecture. Let's slow down for a second and zoom out because this is crucial. This entire ecosystem relies on 3 distinct layers that have to happen in a specific non-negotiable order. Step 1, you develop the person. You teach them how to learn, collaborate, and problem solve.
Step 2, you develop the intelligence. You evaluate evidence and reduce hallucinations using rigorous cognitive frameworks like Lenicha. Only then do we reach step 3, where AI tools and software actually execute the work. It's human judgment first, trustworthy intelligence second, and software execution last. The crazy thing is, most companies operate completely backwards. They start by teaching people how to use AI tools, and then they frantically scramble to build software around that scattered usage. But the highly effective inverted approach is to teach people how to think first. You capture their unique human reasoning, and then you purposefully build the AI around that captured intelligence so the technology can scale it. It's a profound shift in how we approach this.
Section 5, the recursive learning link. Remember that idea of AI being a mirror we talked about earlier? Well, here is where it really comes to life. Learning in this paradigm isn't just a straight line that ends the minute a project is turned in. No, it's a recursive cycle. You research, you analyze, you improve, you validate, and then you repeat the whole shebang. Because this loops continuously, your knowledge actually compounds over time. Every single time you go through the cycle, your operational baseline gets higher and higher.
And because of that recursive loop, you start generating what are called institutional memory assets. Think about how much institutional knowledge literally walks out the door when an employee leaves a company. It's staggering. This system solves that. Instead of just getting a one-off deliverable, you are capturing mentor insights, common mistakes, effective prompts, and the actual detailed reasoning behind complex decisions. It means your entire team or organization gets permanently smarter and faster with every single project completed. Which brings us to Section 6, building intergenerational knowledge. The true beauty here is the sheer scalability of this idea. The exact same architecture used to coach a single individual can expand outward. It can scale to capture organizational intelligence across an entire staff. It can grow into a massive community knowledge base. And ultimately, it scales to an intergenerational level. We're talking about literally capturing a lifetime of expert reasoning and insight to pass down to future generations as a permanent legacy. All of this culminates in an AI-native knowledge ecosystem. That's a system where capable people are developed, trustworthy intelligence is preserved, and each generation's experience literally becomes the training material for the next. The true value of AI isn't just paying for a new app or taking a weekend tutorial. It's building a compounding intelligence engine that gets more and more powerful over time. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative question to end on. What expertise will your generation capture and leave behind? For the first time, we finally have the architecture to ensure our hard-earned reasoning and insights don't just disappear when we log off or retire. We have the tools to build systems that outlast us. So, as you go back to your work today, ask yourself, are you just checking off tasks for today, or are you building an asset that will outlast you? Thanks so much for exploring this with me, and I'll catch you on the next Explainer.
Yeah, I hope that was insightful for some of you all. But I apologize for getting a little talkative tonight. But as you can tell, I am passionate about this stuff. So if you want to kind of move forward with your growth and using AI and learning how to think better, and using AI as a thinking partner, just definitely join our program. At this apply.kakuainstitute.org, and we'll get you up and running. And we have office hours on Saturdays from 1 to 3, and then we do the networking where we answer questions on Thursday nights at the networking event prior to this. But even at this event, we're here to always, answer questions if you have them. Just feel free to ask, and we'll be glad to help you with the answers. Take care, and we'll see you all next week. And remember, it's our 6th anniversary. Somewhere around, I don't know, I have to count them up, but for next week, somewhere around 270 consecutive events. And so we look forward to celebrating next week. Take care, everyone.